Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, February 24. Face-to-face school has been suspended for all students except those sitting final exams. Only students at grade 6 in primary school and grades 11 to 13 at secondary schools will be allowed to attend face-to-face classes. The measure takes effect today. Minister of Education, Youth and Information Favour Williams made the disclosure during this morning's post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House. She says the recent spike in COVID-19 cases on the island prompted the decision, which follows discussions with the Cabinet, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and education stakeholders.
The schools have handled it according to the Ministry of Health and Wellness's protocol. However, as you know, many of our students come from many different communities to attend school. Our risk-based model that has guided us in terms of our process continues to be used. We continue to input new data that we receive into the model. And as we analyze the data and as we go along, we cannot ignore the caution lights that we are seeing from this data.
Under the pilot face-to-face program, more than 400 schools have been approved, with over 300 resuming in-person classes. On Tuesday, the island recorded 193 new COVID-19 cases and 1 additional death. The Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, says the current demand and increased output for goods and services is expected to drive economic growth in the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Director General Dr. Wayne Henry gave the forecast during the agency's quarterly press briefing on Tuesday.
The current projection is that the economy will grow within the range of 4% to 8%, with all industries forecasted to record growth. It should be noted that these projections are fluid, given the uncertainties which currently prevail regarding the pandemic, but there are some positive signs which provide optimism.
The projection provides good news for the country amidst the 10% decline in the economic growth for the 2020 calendar year. This is largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic and measures implemented to contain its spread. The PIOJ also projects a positive outturn for subsectors in the services industry, which has been hit hard with an 11.5% decline for the October to December quarter of last year.
Anticipated strong growth in industries associated with travel and tourism as the rollout of vaccination programs globally and locally is expected to facilitate growth in the hotels and restaurants, other services, particularly in the areas of entertainment and attractions, and the transport, storage, and communication industries.
The Ministry of National Security will be spending just over $1 billion in the new financial year on new coastal surveillance equipment for the Jamaica Defense Force, JDF. The procurement is part of a 5-year program aimed at protecting our borders by strengthening the JDF's mobility and surveillance capability.
It is imperative that securing our maritime space is enhanced as a key feature of our national security architecture.
Meanwhile, the JDF will use $2.3 billion to purchase more aircraft. Another $450 million will purchase armored patrol carriers for the force. In other news, $320 million has been set aside to complete renovation and construction works at Public Building West to allow for the expansion of the offices of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. The money will be used to procure and install a standby power generator and accompanying transformer, as well as to implement a fire suppression system. It's part of the allocation provided for the construction and improvement of courthouses project in the 2021-22 estimates of expenditure, which is now before the House of Representatives. Achievements under the project to date include completion of infrastructural development at public buildings north and east. Government has budgeted $2.3 billion to carry out activities as part of its plan to implement the National Identification System for Economic Growth, NIDS. The figure is contained in the estimates of expenditure for the upcoming fiscal year. Up to December 2020, the revised NIDS bill has been tabled in Parliament. Equipment has been delivered to the data center, and a communication strategy has been developed and implemented.
The bill will serve as the legal basis for the establishment of a robust, efficient and effective national identification system. It will allow for the strengthening of identity security, reduction of identity fraud, and the simplification of bureaucracy.
In the new fiscal year, it's expected that the digitization of birth certificates, the establishment of production centers, and the completion of the framework for the Registrar General's Department will be completed. And finally, Jamaica now has a seat at the Executive Council of the World Meteorological Organization, WMO. Director of the island's Meteorological Services Branch, Evan Thompson, was elected president of the WMO's Regional Association 4 during a recent session of the association. The appointment is Jamaica's first presidency of the 193-member organization since joining in May 1963.
Having a seat at the WMO Executive Council allows me to coordinate the collaboration of all the members, ensuring that no one is left behind as we move forward in meteorology globally. Some of the constituent bodies have representation right across the world, but RA4, Regional Association 4, is not as well represented as some of the other regions, especially when we consider the Caribbean and Central America. So I believe there is need for greater involvement or participation from this region in all the bodies.
With the appointment, Mr. Thompson will have oversight of 27 countries in North America, Central America, and the Caribbean region. Regional Association 4 has, as one of its working groups, the Hurricane Committee. On an annual basis, this committee determines the names of tropical cyclones and other operational matters for the Atlantic hurricane season after reviewing past seasons. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.